Okay, so I am just working here for tomorrow's case for all of my outstanding emergency contempt hearings, emergency custody contempt motions, which I could actually file another one tomorrow morning. I will probably just write up something to let the judge know what else is going on. However, I would prefer to have it in my court file as a motion showing what else is going on here. But here we are. So if Eric D is going to try to say anything like, first of all, this is not a contempt hearing for me. This is a contempt hearing for Gino. But just like he was speaking of in spousal support court the other day, if he's going to try to say that I am inappropriate here, let's talk about inappropriate. So are you going to say that me exercising my First Amendment rights are inappropriate? Are you going to say that the Constitution of America, as an attorney, is inappropriate? Because that's what you're saying. Do you think it's appropriate that Gino has these charges over my head and obviously was not harmed, picked me up from jail, and took my son to football, never sought medical treatment for whatever so-called injuries he's lying about? And how long has this been going on? Let's talk about appropriate. Do you think it's appropriate that I was punched in the head, that he sends in people to find me wherever I'm at, my places of employment? He's ruined every job I've ever had. Do you think it's appropriate that I'm not getting my spousal support? We're still married. I'm the one paying child support, and my kids are being completely cut from me, who I raised. Do you think it's appropriate to steal my kids with no reason given, and still not given till this day? Well, we know the reason. It was the revenge vendetta set up to steal my children and charge me with wiretapping, another bogus charge. Do you think it's okay for the man, the father of my children, to try to keep me locked in prison for supposedly hurting him that night, which I did not, over a year later, because he just had the opportunity to, because these bogus wiretapping charges came out? Do you think it's appropriate that he avoids a court order and just keeps them from me week after week, and my children ages 14, 11, and 10 are completely banned from seeing their mom? Do you think it was appropriate for him to orchestrate this cheerleading coach to steal my kids from me during my custody time off the field? Do you think it's appropriate for him to allow his girlfriend to take my kids to the doctor and make medical decisions? Do you think it's appropriate for him to have allowed this girlfriend to vaccinate my children who are medically and religiously exempt, and have a medical exemption saying, as he knows, these vaccines could endanger the life or the health of my children? Do you think it's appropriate to take my children to the hospital and not let their mother know? Do you think it's appropriate to take my children out of the state and for my children to be left in states with no adult supervision at times? I could go into a lot of stories here, but this is going back a couple years ago, and they were in Florida, and Caleb was locked in a hotel room all day because he was in trouble, and she took Gianna somewhere, he took Christian somewhere. He said he had a plan to keep himself entertained. Well, I'm in another state worried about him being locked in a hotel room. Gino just flew out of the state there in Florida, left them in Florida. He just flew back from Florida with my boys and left my daughter in Florida to fly alone, I'm told. Do you think it was appropriate for Melissa to feed my son the hottest chips in the world and it get in his eyes and him run around the house screaming, which could have blinded him, and a doctor told me that could have blinded him? Do you think it was appropriate for his knee to get completely infected, spreads cellulitis all across his knee due to straight up neglect, or probably a combination of vaccines too is how it started? And do you think it was appropriate that the school nurse is the one who had to treat his knee because it was going untreated. Do you think it's appropriate that my children my son who has 20/20 vision in one eye and 19/20 in the other is forced to wear glasses? Similar story with my daughter. Do you think these things are appropriate? Do you think it's appropriate to ban me from sports and act like I'm doing something that I'm not? Do you think that's appropriate to do that to my children? Do you think it's appropriate? None of these things are appropriate, which is why I have to do videos. And if you want to keep cyber stalking me, well, that's illegal too. Infringing on my First Amendment right, that's illegal too. You cannot do that. And if that's the only thing you have against me is me telling what you're doing to me, well, who's the guilty one? Who is the inappropriate one? Who's the inappropriate attorney still dragging this out, going on 4 years here soon?